So it's 9:30, sun's gone down, candlelit tea, and I wanted to share the kind of top 8 things that I've learned that have helped me become so much more productive, more focused. And these are things I learned from people that are just way ahead of me in business. And actually, what became one of the most apparent patterns amongst the super successful people that I started to surround myself with was how they were just so obsessed with squeezing as much productivity and focus out of themselves and out of their day as possible. And this is because they know that in their business, a lot of the time, you are the bottleneck of the business. You are the thing that's stopping the business growing, not the team, not your systems, it's you. And therefore, focus is a superpower. And for me, when really my businesses start to take off and I'd go from kind of doing 10,000-ish a month to doing £100,000 plus months, and this is going back maybe 3+ years ago, was when I really started to follow the things I'm about to share with you. And so the first thing that became obvious to me was the importance of dialing in and improving your sleep. And so one of the things I bought 3.5 years ago was this. It's an Oura Ring, and the Oura Ring tracks your sleep and gives you accurate sleep metrics. And what that has allowed me to do is better understand how my body responds and reacts to different variables, so I can use that feedback loop to improve my sleep. And I tell you, when I have a solid sleep, last week where my scores are in the 90s, you would wake up and you are literally seeing through walls. And most people think they have good sleep, or they think their sleep isn't a problem, but when they do the practical things I'm about to share with you to improve your sleep, your productivity does skyrocket. You have much more mental acuity, you make much better decisions, it's easier for you to stay focused for long periods of time, you're less likely to get distracted. And so when it comes to sleep, some of the things I do is, one, I make sure I'm sleeping in a cool room. So I'm very fortunate I have air conditioning where I set the temperature in my bedroom to 19, 20 degrees. And that allows my core body temperature to drop and therefore get a better sleep. I also don't eat 1 to 2 hours before I go to sleep. So if I'm going to go to bed, I sleep normally at 10:30 p.m. in the evening. That's kind of my bedtime window. I want to make sure I've had dinner before 8 p.m. because if I have food and a heavy meal too close to that, then my body temperature spikes, my heart rate spikes, and I don't get as good sleep. Now these are just minor things, but some of the things I do is I don't have my phone in my bedroom. So if you go into my bedroom, there'll be, I don't have a phone charger by the side of my bed because I don't want to instill a habit of when I go to bed, I put my phone on charge and I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is check my phone and I don't get out of bed. And so I make sure that before I go to sleep, before I go to bed, I turn my phone off, I put it in a drawer, and I don't come back to it until the next day. And so that means when I get into my bed, I fall asleep straight away. And then lastly, that one of the biggest things you can do to really move the needle in improving your sleep is just having consistent sleep and wake times. So this is one thing I learned from my health and performance coach and good friend Billy Harris. I started working with Billy seriously about 2 or 3 years ago, where I paid a lot of money to kind of get this advice. It was, just have consistent sleep and wake times. Go to bed at the same time every single day, wake up at the same time every single day. And it's such simple advice, but for those of you that wake up feeling groggy and don't really have much energy, it's likely because kind of your hormones and your bodily response, is out of balance. It doesn't know when you're going to wake up. And so by priming your body, programming your body to wake up at the same time, you feel so much better. And you need to have a sufficient period of time in bed. I aim to have 9 hours in bed, and that means I get 8 to 8.5 hours of sleep. And I can promise you the most successful people that you follow, they get sufficient sleep because they know having that deficit, what it does to your focus and productivity is just, is not worth saving that extra few hours. So the number one action item you can do, buy an Oura Ring, start getting the data, and have Pearson's law. Pearson's law says when you have feedback, creating that feedback loop increases the rate of improvement in that particular activity. And I noticed that, and you look at kind of my sleep scores over the years, over the last 3 years, every year it's got better and better and better. So that's one thing. The second thing I do in terms of productivity is, I really don't have a morning routine. Well, I do have a routine, but I don't have one of these crazy morning routines. I kind of call it an anti-routine. And so a lot of people ask me, like, what is your morning routine? Like, what do you do to kind of ensure productivity? My routine is this. My routine is I wake up at 7:15 a.m. I have a light alarm, so I've one of these alarms that makes the room really light to emulate the sunrise to kind of help you wake up in a much better state. I wake up at 7:15 a.m. I get out of bed, I get in the shower, I brush my teeth, and I sit down at my desk and I work. I don't really do any meditation, I don't really do any journaling, I don't really do the whatever else, 101 different things that people do. I have a cold shower, so I'm hot, and then for the last kind of few minutes I switch it to cold because that obviously triggers a dopamine release. It allows you to breathe a lot deeper and get some oxygen in your body, so that's kind of like my meditation or my breathing exercise. And you do it long enough, you really start to fall in love with the feeling of having that cold shower where you do wake up and getting that kind of dopamine, serotonin release. I don't work out in the mornings because I know in the mornings that's when I've got the most mental acuity, the most focus, clearer thinking. So I like to kind of channel that into my work, and then later on in the day, as kind of my focus is diminishing and my acuity is diminishing, that's when I'll go do a workout late afternoon, 5, 6, 7 p.m, depending on the day and depending on my diary. The other thing to note is I always plan tomorrow today. So when I wake up, I've already planned and made the decisions the night before what work I'm going to do. And I've always made an effort to never become a bitch to everybody else's diary. And I learned this back when I was kind of an estate agent myself and I was in sales, and obviously when you're in sales and in business and whatever job that you do, you're going to have the income generating tasks. You're going to have the thing that move the needle, that help you grow. And for me as an estate agent, for example, I wanted to make sure I was doing the prospecting, I was doing my outreach, I was following up with clients, etc., etc. But I find if I didn't block out that time, I'd end up becoming a bitch to everyone else's diary. I'd have a phone call and someone say, oh, can you come and meet me at this property at this time? And I'd say yes, and then suddenly I'm a bitch to their calendar rather than kind of setting the precedent with, this is my calendar, I'm going to stick to this, everything else can wait. So in the morning, I don't do any calls on most days before kind of 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. at the very latest. And so that means when I wake up and I'm at my desk from like 7:30 to 8 a.m, that first kind of 4 hours of the day, it's a very focused, deep work block where I can just execute on the things that I decided yesterday and planned the night before that I was going to do. The things that are probably going to move the needle in the business, the thing that requires a lot of focus, a kind of a lot of mental energy to kind of get it done. And then to support that, to ensure I'm even more focused, I don't typically turn my phone on most days until 12 or 1 p.m. after I've kind of done my 4-hour work block and had my lunch. I have my diary and I stick to it because I'm being selfish here. I want to grow my business, so I need to do the things that help me grow so I can lead a team and I can support my team and I can do the things that I want to do. And then the final thing is you just have to get good at saying no to pretty much everything. And one of my favorite quotes I heard, which kind of like when I first heard it hit me, is that in life, if you're not prepared to sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. And so you're going to have times where for you to kind of grow your business or grow personally or get to the next level, there's going to be times where it requires intense focus for long periods of time. And like I've said, focus is the absence of distraction. So by just eliminating distractions, by pure deduction, you're going to be more focused. And you're going to have people saying, oh, come hang out, let's party, let's go drink. But you go out, you get drunk, the next day you're hungover and you've missed out on a day of work, or you don't have the same kind of clarity to get shit done. You're going to have people say, oh, let's go on holiday, let's do this. Sometimes you just have to embrace a boring life to be disciplined. You've just got to say no to these things for the greater good, so you can grow, get to the next level, and then once you've arrived at whatever destination you have in mind, then you can celebrate, you can go out, you can drink. But if you're in a period where it requires immense focus, you just gotta say no and sacrifice it for the future.